Seppeltsfield Road Distillers is a gin distillery. We love the idea that we can make the best gin that we possibly can in the most amazing location here in the Barossa. I'm Nicole Durden. I'm the head distiller here at Seppeltsfield Road Distillers. The motivation behind the building that we have here is effectively watching too much grand designs. And given the space that we have here as far as the property goes, there's a 12-metre drop from the top of the block to the roadside, so that creates its own issues as far as development goes. So using shipping containers gave us the ability to reduce our impact on the land itself to some extent. We still took 5,000 tonne of dirt out, so our impact was definitely not insignificant. But if we were building a traditional build, we would have had to take more dirt out, more concrete for footings and foundations, whereas we could actually reduce that using shipping containers. Just over 3 years ago, my husband and I were living in the UK, and I was told by my peers and colleagues here in Adelaide and Australia that I would get work over there, and it didn't quite pan out the way we were expecting. And I was going a little bit stir crazy, let's say. I was suggesting other potential career paths that I could follow, and he, being an incredibly supportive husband, would say, no, you'd be terrible at that, you'd be good at that, but you'd get bored. I said to him, well, what do you think I should do? And he said, I think you should make gin. We produce gin, that's pretty much what we do. We have our own still on site. We have a 180 litre calf still. Her name is Christine. She's named after my grandmother. And we produce all of our gin out of that still there. So we take 96.1% neutral spirit, which we get from Tarak Technologies in Burrata. It's a grape-based spirit, and it's the cleanest base that we can get. So we take that spirit, we put it in our still along with some water to cut it back to a lower alcohol percentage. To call gin gin, it must have juniper berries in it. So we then put juniper berries and our other hard botanicals into the still. Then we have a vapour basket as well. So what goes into the pot gets boiled, and what goes into the vapour basket gets steamed. And as the process goes along, the alcohol vapour effectively takes essential oils and flavours out of the botanicals that are getting boiled and steamed. So as the process goes along, as I said, the vapour picks up the flavour out of all of those botanicals, and by the time it gets to the end of the process, that vapour is turned back into liquid. So the liquid comes out at the still at between 90 and 92% alcohol. And then from there, all we do is add water to bring it back down to our 41.5% or whatever final percentage that we want our alcohol to be. For us, we love the idea of being able to use botanicals that we can source locally. So our last batch of gin, a lot of the citrus that we used, I mentioned we use fresh citrus, most of it has been donated by people who have citrus trees in their backyards here in the Barossa. We love using pink peppercorns, which we're currently picking from Heritage Wines just up the road. And when we need more than they can supply, the Barossa is still full of pink peppercorn trees. The more products that we can get at our back doorstep, the happier that we are. We currently have four gins in our range that we're offering out of the tasting room. The first one we have is our Barossa Dry. So this one is my take on a traditional dry style of gin. This one's got the pink peppercorns from Heritage Wines. It's also got some locally grown lavender in it, and it's got some fresh grapefruit peel, which gives it some lovely citrus undertones. The next one we have is our house gin. This is probably the gin that we're most proud of at the moment. This gin took out Gin Distillery of the Year at the Melbourne International Spirits Competition. This one is made up of all of the botanicals that I loved when I was doing my recipe development. So this one's bright and fresh and citrusy and vibrant. It's got the grapefruit in it, the same as the Barossa Dry. It's also got some fresh orange peel in there, so that gives it, just the slightly more lifted citrus notes. It's also got some chamomile and elderflower, so you get some lovely floral aspects, as well as blue cornflowers, which distill out with a lovely bright, sweet flavour. So this gin is really approachable for people who are maybe new to gin. That sweet, citrusy vibrancy, it makes it really approachable and really delicious. Then we have the black sheep of our family. This is our savoury all sorts. So this one is completely different to the other two. When I was creating the gins, we wanted to have 3 gins that were completely different, so that we could have a gin flight available in our tasting room that was 3 very different gins and not just 3 variations on a theme. This one's got star anise and licorice root, so it's got lovely warm aniseed through the middle of your palate. It's also got that fresh thyme and fresh marjoram, so with a touch of tonic or some soda, the fresh herbs really jump out at you and make it really quite herbaceous. And we're finding that this gin is very much appealing to lots of hardcore gin drinkers, but surprisingly, lots of people who don't like licorice will taste it and say, wow, I'm not a big fan of aniseed or licorice, but there's just something about this that they really enjoy. To finish off, we've got a very limited release of our Shiraz gin. So this is our Barossa Shiraz Gin. We picked the Shiraz ourselves from Stonewall Cottages. Again, important to us that we're using products that are available in the Barossa as much as we can. Our Shiraz gin will always be made with Barossa Shiraz. The method that we use for this one is, it's along the similar lines as a sloe gin, but instead of sloe berries, we use Shiraz. So we take those grapes that we picked, we destem them, so we keep the whole berries, and then we pour the 90% gin straight out of the still over the berries, close it up and let it sit for 6 to 7 weeks. From there, we take the free-run juice off, or free-run product off, and then press the grapes out. And effectively what that does is it gets the grape juice out of the grapes, but that's what we use to reduce the alcohol down to the 38.5% that it is. So this one, amazing sipping gin, but with in a nice long gin and tonic. Because it is quite big and bold in its flavours, you can use a lot of tonic on this and create a really lovely summer drink. So if you're looking for our products, the best thing to do is to come and experience them for yourselves here at our distillery on Seppeltsfield Road at Marananga. We're also available online, so you can jump on the website, we can ship it straight to your door. We are in some bottle shops and bars in Adelaide, but I think the best way to experience our products is to come here, sit in our fantastic environment here, be looked after by our staff and get a genuine experience for our gins.